Hello, everyone out in the universe today. And that is including the stars, the gases, the Sophia complex. We have talked about her in the past. And this is one of the main themes of like symbolism is like this demiurge that came in and decided that it wanted to create and be a god outside of the galactic
26.
core. And so the symbolism that
Oh,
we're talking about
you were
is
talking
going to
too.
be all. Was I not? Could you guys not hear me? Shit. Was I just talking to myself? Yes, no, maybe.
Well, fuck! Hey! Yes, we could hear you. I just didn't push the
Okay,
button
thank you. I appreciate
Yes, we
that.
can hear you. Continue. Give somebody a
Okay,
second.
thank
Hi,
you.
everybody. My God. Fire. It's fire and air. Fire and air elements. We can tell.
Anyways, let's move on. Thank you very much, Miriah, for expressing yourself. Appreciate it. So yeah, anyways, so we are out here figuring this out and how the world is, constantly showing logos to the subconscious and why is that? So we're going to go over some things about why, we feel it's happening. And it's just all research and it's entertainment purposes. They're not necessarily belief systems, or it's just what has been written a long time ago. And we are bringing that back into the limelight. So, we'll see what happens. When we uncover the mystery of like these symbols, and if you even realize that you are exposed to them on a daily basis, and maybe that's part of why you don't feel like yourself sometimes. So, welcome in, everyone. Hey, Matthew. Hey, Miriah. Oh, Matthew's gone already. He got booted out.
Oh, no, we lost Matthew already? Well, maybe he'll step back on in. No, I'm
Yep.
good. I'm good. There's a lot of definitely fire and air elements, but that's what we're gonna be all working with here. I'm good. We're getting rain. We're in monsoon season, but it's almost like to the extremes because we're having like mudslides, so no one could go anywhere because we live in this rocky canyon. So if we get rain, it's like a doozy. It's like hail and extreme rain. And so we're
I
kind of
would
seeing
love to
like,
have some rain. We're not having any rain. I would
yeah,
love it
I'm
though.
blessed in the
It's
rain, but
happening.
it's kind of funny. It's like it's a mudslide. So like we keep getting alerts like don't go anywhere. There's a storm coming. And then like a few hours later, don't go anywhere.
Why are they
Uh,
saying not to go anywhere? That doesn't make any sense. What are they trying to do? This whole like,
well, you're not
jibby jab,
listening.
you know?
There's mudslides that are happening, and you're gonna get stuck in the canyon on a road, or you're gonna get hit by a mudslide. We're having mudslides. We're having flash floods. That's
Oh,
why
because of all
you
the
can't travel
fires.
anywhere,
Like,
Nova. Yeah. There's a reason for that, but like every couple hours we get like another um like huge storm that comes in with a lot of lightning and it's flash floods and that, like it's destroying the roads. Telling you, we're at
so
extremes. And
all these Masonic roads that were built are getting destroyed in Colorado, it sounds like. I wonder why that's happening.
oh, totally. Well, and a lot of
Curious,
them
very
are
curious there.
forest roads, and that's part of like the Masons. A lot like so when this new world was rediscovered and you know territorized, the Masons branched out different tasks like the Boy Scouts would. And if you've ever been in something like 4-H, the Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, and you got badges, they start to look and start to replicate some of these Masonic seals and that whole seal. There's so many symbols that really like
Oh yeah, you
are
see like a
taken.
lot of
Go ahead, yeah.
shields and things like that.
Everything has a seal. When you go to
Yeah,
court,
you
there's
see
a seal,
extra
right? And it definitely represents something. And so like, yeah, even like all these roads, a lot of them are old forest roads. And then there's the old railroads too, and that's a whole other Masonic branch. The firefighters, that's another Masonic branch. The police department, that's another Masonic branch. The people that make the roads, another Masonic branch. On and on and on and on. And so all of them have a seal, and it's quite interesting when we get into the symbolism. But yeah, started like coming all hot, but when we all kind of did, it's all good. We're at the very last of Mercury retrograde, and we're coming in with all this fire.
I'm cool as a cucumber, honey.
Well, I saw you outburst. No. Yeah, I'm cool too, but we all had an outburst, so.
I actually didn't have an outburst, but that's okay. I was just like asking because
Remember when you're
it sounded like Matthew couldn't hear me, and he was trying to talk over.
yeah,
I thought my
couldn't
mic
hear
was
us?
disconnected
You had a little bit
or
of fire
something.
there. You had a little fire. It's okay. Yeah, a little fire. It's okay.
I don't feel like fire. Fire is anger for me, and I'm like I'm.
But
I'm
it's
pretty
also
cool as a cucumber
action
right now.
and passion and expression. So
To me, it's more about the feeling and the emotion behind it. Like I'm, super cool in the background.
yeah,
Just because my words and the way I speak doesn't
Same
mean that it's
here.
actual fire, but it might feel like it.
Yeah.
So, but I'm super calm. But anyways, so yeah, this whole let's go into the astrology here. The astrology is going to be interesting because what we have here is, of course, the beautiful aspect of this basket, but it looks like it has like a T square added to
and
it.
this was
If anybody
yesterday.
can see, that's what that is.
like
That's what
so
that
symmetrical.
pyramid is on top of it. What's
Yes.
that, Matthew?
It's just so perfectly symmetrical. It's a nice
totally.
looking chart.
This was yesterday. This was yesterday's chart, and that's what I had to show it. This was mwah, mwah. Look at that. Look at that.
Where the moon was.
There's the sextiles making the basket. There's nothing but squares and oppositions. Yesterday when the moon entered Scorpio, it was at 0 degrees opposite Chiron and Taurus at 0 degrees. So that's where you see the one line, and then the other one is with Jupiter and the sun almost conjunct opposite of Pluto. And this is during this basket, and everybody's been talking about this basket, right? And the reason it's a basket because all these outer planets were sextile to each other, and which means they need to work together in a sextile, and they make them extra potent. So all 4 of the outer planets made a sextile to each other at 4 degrees in their signs, making this cradle or this basket. And then this with these other 2 oppositions. So there's oppositions being Jupiter with the sun across Pluto. And that's in Leo and Aquarius, which is interesting because we're just about to go into that as the moon's nodes. And then opposite that, we have the moon and Chiron. And to me, it looked like a bow and arrow coming out of the basket, launching us into something new. And I thought this was just a beautiful geometry. And what happens to the sextiles? Sextiles it's a good working together since they're all 4 of them. That's the 444 portal. And so all these numerologies, all this lining up. I had to show this because this was yesterday morning when I was listening to AM Wake Up, and this was the perfect basket with almost like a crystal top, the pyramid top, all of everything about it. And so with Chiron being in there, the centaur, right in between Aries and Taurus, I made him look like the ram as well, not just a horse. And then I thought the bow and arrow was very important. We have a first quarter moon, and so that means we're 1 week away from a full moon, and this is going to launch into eclipse season. So anyway, that was my opening spiel about this particular chart. And then I'll show you what's going on today, but this was yesterday, and we've never seen anything like this. And astrologers, like, we've been able to go back and see this basket. And when it does happen, it's usually a reset for humanity and civilization. But to have them all be that exact at 4 degrees with everything going on, it's very, very unique.
It's all by itself out there. It's kind of got all of its own space. Virgo and Libra, right on the right where the arrow is pointing to, digging deep into the wound of that. So I'm gonna uncover through this. So
Libra and Scorpio, though.
I mean,
Libra and
it's in the hot seat there. Oh, sorry, Libra and Scorpio.
Well, and so, like, if you think about it, it's kind of, if Chiron, that wounded healer, launching into the moon and back with the support of these outer planets, we don't even know what's about to come. Like, that just happened, and like now we're gonna start to feel the repercussions of that. We're gonna start to feel everything's gonna start to move very, very fast. Your personal life is gonna change really, really fast, or swing you backwards, or swing you forward. And the same thing is gonna happen with the rest of the world. We're gonna see changes fast, good, bad, destructive, all to make something new. Yeah. Any other thoughts on this particular chart before we go to today's? I just had to show this before we showed the current one. Nova?
Well, it's funny because it's like a basket per season too. I mean, we're not quite there yet, gun, but gardens are looking nice. And things are green right now, so very for that. And just the abundance of space between really throws a nice dynamic onto the. You see 12, there's 212 on 7. So we got 2s and 1s going on with our numeral for yesterday, at least. Very symmetric. Looks nice.
Well, and the
Not
sun,
sure if Matthew, if you're,
oh, sorry.
if you're,
Go ahead.
you're like, maybe your service might be a little wonky because Miriah is pretty clear, but anyways, this particular chart, what I'm getting from it is that this 0 degree line, that this exact opposition of Chiron and the moon, what we're seeing is like the self is asserting itself into the body, because of the first or the second house. It's like right in the in between, right? So it's getting ready to submerge itself into the physical realm, instead of just like, what am I? Now the wound is like, we fell into matter, and here we are, and the moon is like our past and our emotions and how we react, how we adapt, how our what came up last time in this whole realm. And yesterday actually was a quarter moon, which means it was a half moon, and it's on its way back into a full moon. And so we're only like half the size when you think about it, half the reflection. And so there's some parts of it that is being hidden still, which is what the wound does, is it hides behind the moon wound, right? The birth. And so that it being in Scorpio is literally like death. And so it's like what happened, what has happened in our past lives, our this connection or disconnection of humanity, and where we have stood and why it keeps on injuring itself. Scorpio likes to injure itself. It likes to be the victim. It likes to be the one who's in control. It likes to be many things. I've seen, like, I haven't had too many interactions with Scorpios, but a double Scorpio, it was enough for me. I was like, okay, this is, I have a friend who's a Scorpio with a Cancer rising, totally completely different. But double Scorpios, holy shit, that is a whole nother ballpark, because they are the demiurge. I see like a double Scorpio as the perfect emanation of the demiurge that wants to control the feminine. So what we're seeing here with Pluto in Leo, with opposing Aquarius, or excuse me, opposing Leo. Pluto is opposing Leo and Jupiter, and then you got the Sun right there. This is just a huge expansion of that wound, and that your self-expression is going to be very egoic. I know you are, but what am I kind of stuff. I know you are, but what am I? Instead of actually staking claim of self, because of that emotion. And it's probably because you're upset. The consciousness is upset that it's being controlled, that it's been tossed around, not heard, not seen, and hasn't loved itself. And so what you're seeing here is this, between Libra and Scorpio, that's like loving itself, and then to the point where, well, now I have to love other people, and I have to reflect that into the world, because that's what the moon does, is it reflects it into the world. And so, when you have Scorpio there, and now it's more about, okay, it's about the other, but what did the other do to me? Because we just had
Scorpios have a hard
justice.
time with letting go. That's for sure. Like, it's, when you think about it, it's like they'll take that thing that happened at whatever time, and they'll remember every single detail down to the very like the color of the room and everything.
Well,
And
their idea of it, right?
Sometimes they're very on point. Other times they're not. I mean, it just depends on how emotional.
Well, it's also
it's still their reflection, right? It's still their idea. It doesn't mean it's true.
Yeah, well, that's also like how everybody's mind works a little different too. So a lot of people can take in a room. It's called photographic memory, or and I kind of almost have that. I can kind of go.
My mom had
to another place, and I can.
Scorpio.
I know, like I remember that kind of stuff. So some people can't even think. Some people don't even have an imagination where they can think of something within that third eye. Their third eye has been
we're going to get into today, is the imagination.
Yeah,
and this is what has been crucified, is the imagination.
Yeah, and so normally most of us should kind of be able to go there. Like, I'm able to go in my third eye, another place, and take in all the senses, the colors, and like as we speak. And so just if you can't do that, doesn't mean that other people can't. And actually, you probably can. You just lost that ability, or you don't remember how to do it. So, I just say, like, I have that ability. So, be careful with just.
So, anyways, so yeah, when it comes down to this whole, this aspect, we're looking at, where with this, because even inside of it, there is it's a mutable. Wait a minute. Yeah, it's fixed. A fixed grand cross.
Yeah.
And so this fixed grand cross is not going to move. It doesn't want to move. It's like, no,
aren't they? Yeah.
I'm going to stay in my position. I'm not going to listen to what you have to say. Which is the collective. It's in the 11th house. You got Aquarius, which is Pluto. It's holding on to its past. It's not really wanting that death quite yet. And because it's still emotional with that Scorpio moon that's happening. And with Jupiter, looks like Jupiter is squaring that as well. as well as that T square. Because when you put two T squares together, you got that square, and so it makes it a broader sense. Where the sun, its ego, it's in the spectrum of, it's just like, I'm not moving because I have this wound, and I'm right about this, and you're wrong. And the thing is that when it comes down to the reflection is saying, look, buddy, we're all in this together. You're not separate from it. You just got to remember that, demiurge. Like, you are not God. You're outside of the galactic core that decided to create itself, which are all the archons, all the archetypes, all these planets. You're not yourself. Snap out of it. Okay, snap out of it. So it's literally taking these planets and these archons and saying fuck off. Because we can claim, oh well, it's fire today or it's water tomorrow. It's really about what you decide to do with it and how you decide to respond or react. So nothing's personal. Some of it is chemical, some of it is damage, some of it is trauma, and but you got to breathe through that regardless. And go out and scream at something, universe, whatever, why you're so angry about it still, and how do you heal it, and ask yourself about that. So that's what this is kind of talking about right now. And from what I understand is that, I don't know about y'all, but I've been projecting like a consciousness of getting rid of surveillance, Argus, right? Argus. I was watching
The Eye of the Argus.
the American Gods.
Taking
Did you
some
guys
SWAT
ever watch
cameras
the
down with you.
American Gods? Yeah. Did you guys ever watch American Gods?
Yeah.
It was on Stars.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I watched it again because the ending was really fucking dumb, but probably for a reason. I have to go back and look at that because there's some symbolism in it. Anyways, so Argus is the surveillance. And so I hear that they're being questioned right now and taken down. That's one of our friends from AM Wake Up was like, they're taking them down. I was like, cool, right on. Because that was my intention, and I'm sure that's a lot of intention out there in the world right now. We're just like, fuck these guys. So good job, everyone. High five. Keep that momentum going, because we are the ones that are creating this reality. So fuck Argus. He's not a good guy. He's one of the Watchers. We don't want him. So anyways, but yeah, that's kind of my
selling your data to Elon Musk.
There's a song by Ween. By the way, shout out to Ween fans. It's called The Argus. It's amazing. On the album The Mollusk, and The Argus, what it's about to...
The Musk? Are you serious?
Yeah. Ween they know their false knowledge. And so I would put their music into my plays that I would direct. And The Argus, what it's about to is like this, and it's wandering eye.
So well, we're going to talk about the wandering eye today. The Argus, if I get to it.
Yeah. I'll have to play it at some point. I'll put it in the Telegram group. Just like Ween. The Argus.
I'd like to hear that one. I haven't heard Ween in a while.
I don't like that. Nah. Yes,
like
it just sounds too much like anus.
And it's wandering eye, and the whispering eye. Hello, the vagina as well. Hello, it's an eye. Could be the third eye. Lots of eyes. I wanted to show you how much the chart, the sky chart, changed from yesterday. Look at that to today. So already the moon moves pretty fast. So though it is squaring Mercury right now in Cancer, which is about to go direct. Thank God. Everybody keeps saying that, but if y'all been, Mercury going direct in Cancer has been an interesting time. Lots of mind and emotions connection. And so this is like, so we still have the basket. We still have, so Jupiter and the Sun today are conjunct and they're opposite Pluto. So that's kind of the big bang today. yesterday was all that geometry, right? And Jupiter was in Leo, and the sun was on the last degree in Cancer. So there was like kind of that beautiful, the sun is in Cancer, Jupiter is in Leo, while that all that geometry was going on. But today we move fully into Leo, where the sun moves into Leo, conjunct with Jupiter. They're not quite exact yet because the sun just moved there. There will be conjunct in a few days, but they're both opposite Pluto now. Now we're fully into that Leo season. And then we're gonna, like Matthew is talking about, we're coming up to the 8/8 Lionsgate portal, the dog days of summer, where Sirius is about to start to reemerge from the underground of Hades, and that's Orion, right? And so it's really interesting time. There's a lot of fire energy, like I was talking about, and air. We do not have a lot going on in the earth elements or the water elements, and we were there for a couple of years. That's why we're in COVID. We were all introverts. Now is the time to be an extrovert. And so all this Leo energy, we have to go out and make stuff, create, be our best selves, and not care what other people think. And so this is a very fiery time, but like take advantage of it. Like, of course, there's gonna be a lot of shit going on around us with those elements too. But did you all want to like compliment on like what's going on today? Because now we have that Jupiter and Sun together. They're both like represent the sun energy, right? Zeus and the son of God.
Well, and a lot of movement too,
I
as we're getting
mean,
into Leo season. Leo is always on the move and making things happen, and it's like the time to make moves. And also with Merc finally coming back out and going forward, it might be a good time to actually start to get those plans in action. Start making the calls and saying, okay, here's the plan. Now that the communication is back on board again. Because it's easy with Mercury to be introspective and be like developing the plan, and now that it's going forward again, it's time to put the plan into action. And with that Lionsgate coming up, it's time to manifest. So we've got a lot of action energy coming out, and fire and air are movements or quick movers, and so moving into that, we can expect quick action and things to move fast, so maybe faster than we think. And sometimes that throws people off, but it can be a very good thing if you're looking to like move from one place to another, or make a relationship change, or clean out your house, or try to go for that promotion that you've been wanting to do. With Jupiter and the sun lined up like that too, it bodes well for action time.
well, I see it completely different. The reason why is that Leo is a fixed symbol. It doesn't like to move. It's very, yes, it moves physically. It's fire in that aspect, but it has a one set goal. It has a one mind goal, and it doesn't really want to change too much, just because of that fixation, right? It's not to say that what you were talking about isn't correct. There's movement, but it might be repetitious. It might be the same thing that it's never really gotten itself out of, which is the ego, right? We go back to the ego because that's what Leo represents, is the soul that you were given in this particular lifetime. And so, having that Mercury trining the moon in Cancer, this goes back to like the bridge between, Mercury is giving it information to the moon based on, the mother aspect, and what was given to you in that part. And also, even though it seems external, it really is internal, because most of the planets are under the horizon, and which is all self. You have 4 quarters in the zodiac, and most of them lie between the 2 quarters of, the first and the second, which is self-realization and self-actualization. And so, you know, it really has to do with, you know, on a spiritual level, you know, are you going to hold on to this, onto the embankment, right, of the flow of life? Are you going to actually let go? Because again, you know, we got to look at the zodiac as a construct. It's not a guide. It's actually constructing your will. If you do not have your own will and your own imagination, so you can choose, because basically what your chart does is it gives you what's going to happen, you know, what your imprint is like, but you get to choose which path to take that on. And so, you know, even though you have these archons that are, you know, jumbling it all up for your free will, because we don't really have the real free will except for actually making this, which choice to do, which choice are we going to take along that path. So, you know, when you see that Mercury, it's a trickster, man. It's a trickster against the feminine. It likes to play both ends, you know, because it can. It likes to go in between. And because it's trining, it makes it a lot more simplistic and easier. And so that means that you're not really going to necessarily going to move that quickly, because it it can slow you down in the aspect of learning, or, you know, because that's what Mercury does, is you learn how to be more in your feminine, right? Because that's what Cancer represents, is the feminine. You know, so it's going to give a little strain, even though it's, I mean, it would be better if it was a square, because a square is actually, it's actually pressure, and so you're going to actually move because you're like, I'm uncomfortable. But with Mercury there and this trine with the moon, it's like, I'm pretty comfortable where I'm at. And so, you know, that's kind of what is happening with this basket when we go back to like what the actual basket's doing, which I'm not going to go into that again, but that's what I'm seeing. So again, it's more about self. It's not really about the external world right now.
Well,
And then we have that north and south node on the first degree.
That makes sense. And it's always like for perspective, because like you know, you could always look at a different angle, right? At like how these angles and elements, zodiac signs, the planets, where they're at. It's what it is. It's a container for an equation to happen, right? And so it's kind of all it's all quite interesting, because we could all look at the same chart and find something different in it, and that's important. And that's why I think it's like really cool to do astrology together. And so where we're going now too is we have that Leo energy. And okay, so everybody has their own personal nodes when you're born, where the moon's nodes are, and it's our compass. A compass too has to do with the circle. But
where's the collected heading right now?
But the south node is gonna be Leo, and the north node is gonna be Aquarius. My nodes are the opposite, which is gonna be interesting to ride this next 18 months out, where my north compass is Leo conjunct with Mars, and now we're going to have the south node in Leo, and our north node is Aquarius. So I'm going to be butt fuck backwards, where I've already been Aquarius.
Well, you're going to be dumping all the things that are unnecessarily. Hopefully, that is the thing. Is like, are you going to repeat the past? Because then your Chiron return comes up, and then it's like, are you going to fucking like let go of what you are now? Because you can actually be a different actor. You can play a whole nother scene now. You
totally.
don't have to continue to do the same shit over again.
Embrace being not with my chart too. Like my light has been dimmed a lot, where I'm like, hey, and they're like, oh, you can't do that. Like, okay, never mind. Because my Virgo is also in the 12th house. So with that Leo North Node, I'm still supposed to aim to sort of be in the spotlight a little bit, but where we have a message to talk about, you know, you just got to find the right avenue. And there's something with that. So it's gonna be interesting. And so anybody that has in the last 18 months been dealing with the nodes with Pisces and Virgo, personally, you probably had a hell of an 18-month ride. My ex-lover, that's where his nodes were, and I haven't seen. He's been kind of missing in the last year.
Bye-bye.
I'm sure he's dealing with some
Bye-bye.
stuff. I'm sure he's dealing with some stuff. But as a collective, we all dealt with that. And Virgo, as you can see, Virgo. So the North Node is right at the 1 degree in Pisces, which means
1 degree.
it's about to move the other way up into Aquarius. And so the South Node is at 1 degree in Virgo, about to go into that Leo. Do you see kind of where that is? And so it's been like that in these nodes. They've been riding out together those zodiac signs for the last 18 months. And so collectively, we've been feeling that where we've been the Virgo aspects, good and bad, we're mostly comfortable with, right? Maybe at home, maybe more people are being hermits a little bit, going inside, working on themselves, their routine. When also some people are maybe avoiding their emotions. Nobody was facing their emotions. Nobody was facing their just letting it go, or like kind of that duality within inside them, or that.
Well, I think it's going to cause some depression because of that Scorpio. You're talking about emotions.
Yeah.
I was just thinking
It's
that
gonna
because
be
like
some
Scorpio
depression
has
there.
the realization, right? It's
Well,
like,
and we just
oh
came out
shit,
of
I can
Cancer
see
season,
things the
you
way
know?
that they're
Lots of
supposed to be seen
emotions.
now. And then it's
Yeah.
up to them. Then
Hold on, let
once
me-
you know it and you can't unknow it, then that's where that depression can come in, because it's like, oh shit, well, this is the way it is. And so that's where people either put their heads down or they decide, okay, I'm going to make a change about this. And so, you know, the
Right.
thing is with all this is like you always have a choice. It's like you can work with the energy like a wave. You know, the wave's either going to like pull
Mhm.
you out to sea, or it can bring you sustenance. It just depends on how you ride it. And so, you know, it's with these the way that Scorpio is working here, it's like it gives you that chance to go through the introspection and realization and dig it up, you know. So we
Well,
can
right
do
now
that
there's not
too.
much sea work going on because everything is happening like in air signs or fire.
It's all burning down.
There's
It's all
just a little bit of
burning down.
Cancer happening.
Yeah,
It's like it totally. Why do you think all these fires are happening? Because I think we finally got
Ignite,
some fires.
yeah.
I
And
can't really
wind.
smell it,
Hotshot.
but there's definitely a smoke in the air.
Oh,
Yeah, we saw some. I saw some firefighters across the way, and they wear these funny green pants that are short because I guess so that they don't get snagged on or something.
Not
when
our
they're
hot
out.
ones in
I
Colorado.
was like,
no
oh, look
way.
at their. They look like, you know, Urkel, and they have like, I think they had like orange or I think orange shirts on. I was like, you
Yeah,
guys are so funny
that would be
looking. And then
construction.
they kind of look like
in Hawaii.
they're younger, and they have these mustaches, so they kind of look like these hipster
'Cause they can't have beards.
firefighters. I was like, this is odd.
No, that's what I learned. My
There was
homie-
actually a female. There was a female
She had
one,
a
and she was
mustache
driving one of the
too?
cool trucks. I was like,
She had a
"Right on,
mustache
girl."
too.
She did have a mustache. No, she didn't.
Just kidding. Well, no, my homie's a firefighter, and he's like, he had a mustache. I'm like, mustache? Like, Miriah, we can only have a mustache because we have to wear these masks.
Well,
and I was like,
I
oh, like
wouldn't
for
think they'd
firefighters,
want
they can
to, man.
only have a mustache or nothing.
Yeah, I mean,
Makes
it makes
sense.
sense. I mean,
I thought
I
you're
don't know.
just all like just being too ironic. He's like, no, that's all we can have.
I mean, I mean that, and you can have your face, you know, singed off. I'm sure.
No, there's
Maybe
that's
that
why
would
they're
be
not
good,
allowed
you know.
to. It's like mustache or no.
Yeah.
And I didn't even like
Just your
put that
upper lip
together.
will go. Don't worry about the rest of it. Anyways, yeah, machismo. Well, let's get started, everybody.
Thanks for listening to us.
Woohoo! Okay, here we go.
It was
Yeah,
that
our
was a
little
big
astrology
moment
report that we
that
got to have at
yeah.
the beginning.
Because it's all about the
For
shapes,
each
right?
and every one of us here. Yeah, let's see here. Sorry, I'm figuring out where I'm at here because I have a little different setup today.
Yin and the yang.
All right.
Oh yeah, baby.
In the beginning, there was the Tao, and that was the yin and yang. It has to do with Sophia and the demiurge. why we're here on this planet. And this is one of the you can't really see it, but you can see it on the white aspect part here. But there's like a pond here that has a yin and yang symbol in the background. And the yin and yang actually adopted this, or it was adopted by the Roman civilization, at this higher culture of like Greek, because they actually were not very original, the Greeks. So they just decided to like, steal, like even because even the yin and yang goes way back into like Asian, Chinese culture. And I'm going to break it down because I see something here that I was talking to, I think I was talking to Miriah about it yesterday, and I started to see things a little bit differently, even after I started putting some of this up. So I had to add a few things to it today, after this conversation that we had. So this, adoption of these Greek Panthean gods, were actually changed into Latin. Okay, and has to do with the Roman Catholic bullshit that we've all are realizing that this is just a part of the Phoenician cult that we have are associating with today, and a lot of us are worshiping them, and we just don't know it, because of the symbolism. And so we're going to go into this a little bit more, but I want to talk about a little bit of what this symbol, of the yin and yang, the Ra Chi, or the Rai Chi, or the two, or the diagram of the supreme ultimate, is what it's also called. And so it's used to control your breath. It is also, for meditation. You can use what we've talked about several times, different herbs, and how they interact with the planets. And also erotic sexual exercises that have designed to um, to to converse the yang with the yin, and it's being used in symbols all over movies and sacred rites of many Messianic temples. They just show it in a different way. So, according to like the ancient Chinese philosophers, yang and yin was produced with the five elements, which are metal, wood, fire, water, and earth. And this is considered to be that everything is life, and this fluctuation between all of these elements. And this is why you have the pentagram, right, as the human body, and the head, being the ether. So anyway, so this is actually where you can actually make sure that you are able to change all of the stuff that we just talked about in astrology, and how can you actually take control of yourself, not of other people. Because we don't have control over other people at all, but that's what the demiurge is doing, and so we think that we have this control, but we're not. And so when we look at, these earth elements, or these elementals, let's just put that, you have earth, which is Saturn, water would be Mercury in the Tao, okay? And metal is Venus, wood, Jupiter, and fire is Mars. So these are actually the guidance of the five planets that, are forming with the sun and the moon as well included in that. We have these seven rulers, that these elements, that the yin and yang are these combinations, and these different possibilities, because there's a number of different possibilities that you can take. You just have to choose which one, right? There's no right or wrong in it. That's the thing. It's just whether or not you want to be miserable. That's what you get to choose, whether you're going to be miserable through, or you're just going to accept the consequences of, like, what your choice was, regardless of what it is. So each of these are these symbols that, that actually are encased in jade. You can see a little piece of jade up there, that they would use this. And this was a part of like the system of magic, and the divination of like occult practices was jade. So, you have astrology, and dream interpretation is all a part of the yin and yang. and what kinds of actions that human reality was producing. What did they, what are we doing? Are we going to remain, or are we active, or are we passive in these principles? And how is the universe using our unique individual imprint to express these 5 elements, which is called wuxing, which is also fortune telling, and the use of stalks or of a plant or a tortoiseshell. Like, they use different kinds of things. So this is like that. You can also take this dream interpretation and regulate, different types of forms, and shapes of like creation. Whether it be a building or a tree or a flower or whatever. This is all kind of what's developing in the holographic culture. I hear somebody wants to say something. Go right ahead. I think so. Or maybe Matthew's just coming back.
I heard a gurgling. No, great information. I was just saying myself.
Okay, I guess maybe I don't know if you just popped back in or Matthew, but welcome back if you are. Okay, so continuing. So you can see this is like the on the actual scale of the hexagram, no, pentagram, no, hexagram, excuse me, is the 6-pointed star. And within that, you can see how the yin and yang actually services itself within this flower pattern. And this would be the universe, right? The yoni, the vagina as well, which is like the black hole of the human, the angles of the hue, of the color that is coming through the prism. So the Dao Tai Chi Chang, which is a system of exercise, also is it's a way of like how to move. There's actually ways to move. So when you see like a gangster rap video and they're all like, walking all wonky and have their symbols and stuff like that, it's actually off. They may look cool because they're saying they're cool in the video, and you're buying that logos, right? That word. But it's actually, not coordinated. Even though it is kind of coordinated, but it's not aligned coordination. So this is, this Tao Chi Chang is like a regulated breathing technique with slow motion, and it has this principles of the yin and yang. And also you can use the I Ching book as a part of this. And we go to the next slide. You have palmistry, which is also a part of this occult, wisdom of the yin and yang. And this is, where you can look at your lines in your hand. I'm sure that all of you have been curious or have had, when you were a kid. I remember we used to play with this all the time. We would like, how long is your lifeline? When are you going to get married? That was kind of like our obsession.
We
was
played
like
math.
marriage and all that. At least it was.
We played math. Yeah, I definitely have all the marks.
You played math?
Cootie
It's
catcher.
called MASH, but kind of like math. MASH.
MASH. I forgot about MASH.
Right? But it was kind of like a fortune teller.
I remember.
Like you would.
Yeah, me too.
What kind of house would you live in? How many kids? What kind of car?
Yeah.
What was the other one?
Married,
that's just like hitting the nostalgic
but used to use
head.
But like a lot of that is
I don't even remember how to play it. I remember there was a spiral in it, right? There was a spiral in MASH, which is interesting.
Yeah, in numbers, but we played that in library like as children, and like all these things trickle down. And the palm, there's something to it. I know it seems like so weird. Why would we be born with all these specific marks? Isn't that like, it's wild? But I have a lot.
It's
a lot of them.
Literally. And it has to do with all the planets.
It would be interesting to
It
compare
has to
somebody
do.
to somebody at death.
What do you mean? Elaborate.
Mine's changed over the years.
Get out of here.
I've noticed certain.
I've never
like,
paid attention.
The has changed over time.
Oh, they could be.
Huh.
I mean,
Sometimes
I
they
never paid
change.
attention to like even know.
if we change timelines and stuff, maybe it's changed like the past lives you've had. But and like it does have to do a lot with astrology. No one's probably gonna like talk about. So astrology also has to do with like past lives too, you know.
Well, I mean, it has to do with all the planets and like where the
Possible.
alignments are, and the degrees. And so, this actually goes back to the 5 elements of the yin and yang and this occult, wisdom in these books. Like for example, the Chinese Art of Healing, written by a Buddhist monk, the author explains like how, we can relate to messages and massaging through these our hands with reflexology, and how these elements and this palm stuff works. Because the thumb itself, for example, it belongs to the spleen and the earth, and then the index finger, which is like your large intestine, which is like the metal element. I'm not going to go into all of them, but so as far as like for the water element, is and the earth element, these all come into these principles, and they actually stem from the Egyptian and Persian creed, where there is this whole warfare that was happening, for the human soul, and that's what we're kind of because basically your hand is your palm, like let's say like a palm tree, right? That a tree again is a tree of life. And so when they call it a palm, you're looking at, that it is a part of the tree. It's a part of like the branch of who you are. It's not the soul, because that would be where your feet are. But this is what the imprint of like that goes into your heart chakra. And so this union between the left and right side of your hemisphere of your brain, the yin and yang, the night and day, darkness, freedom, shadow, whatever you want to, disposition. This is where the union of the two come together, the sexes. And it's not, doesn't mean intercourse. It just means, actual gender, more or less, where, it's represented in religions, and in the crudest form of worship, it's representative of the genitalia, where, ooh, I think I just heard some thunder. Woohoo! Yeah, I love it. Just when I'm talking about the genitalia and sexes. So these sex organs are in this union were worshipped.
Thor's like, that's
okay, and
that's
this
my
is like,
department.
I know. He's got the hammer. He's striking. Or that would be Odin, I guess, more or less. I guess they're both kind of, between the two. Odin has his spear and he has his hammer. Anyways, Thor does. Anyway, so this whole worship of like the phallus, like Odin's spear I was just talking about. In Greece and Egypt, then you have the lingi yoni, which is based on India, where this is where it's called a masturbator, which is funny because it's masturbator, masturbate. It's called masturbator, or of Syria, and then you have the Yosiki Insiki in Japan, and then the Yin and Yang in China. These are all the different words for yin and yang. And then the Baal Peor of the Canaanites in the Bible. This had to do with the yin and yang. Okay, so this has to do with the monad, which is the solar. It's above the solar locus, which is you, which is the word, right? So the monad is above that, and it's what is actually like. This is what I want to create out of the galactic core, and Aeon Sophia comes from that. I don't know if I'm making any kind of sense here, but if you have listened to our program for a while, like, this is what we've talked about. This is like all of these kind of combined together. So this is what the yin and yang is, this creative and destructive power of this dualism, that the monad is like, hey man, you actually, I'm over here, you're not listening to what I'm saying because you're so in the solar logos, which is that ego, which we were talking about at the beginning of the program. Because we actually are being controlled a lot more than we want to be. Any comments on that? If not, we can continue to move forward.
I was just holding up a book. If anybody is being kind of weird,
I thought in the Paul
go ahead.
It went, each point the planet essentially. And if you can zoom in on that, index finger being.
I would rather not. I'm not going to zoom in because that's
that ring finger and such.
I would love to, but no, I'm not going to.
Yeah, she might freeze.
That's when Canva.
She might freeze.
But however, if you know what those fingers are, that would be a whole other differentiality. So you brought up your
I think that's for somebody else to you guys got to figure out. You got to do your homework. I'm not going to do all your homework for you, so you have to go out and find out. But I gave you a little bit of information just so you can kind of get started.
The thumb is the sun. Obviously we have Mercury. This is the area of Mars and stuff. The book that I was holding up is a very rare find. Maybe not that rare, but it's the practice of palmistry. But what's interesting, it's compeste. So it's basically forwarded from Saint Germain. And I've had people stare at it. It's got every line that you could ever possibly imagine. But there's a lot of palmistry books out there if you're interested in it. And it makes sense that all the organs in our body represent different chakras connected to the planets. And so all of our palms and the bottom of our feet are connected to different organs.
Yep.
So it makes sense, right? And so it's so interesting.
That's why you should massage them all the time.
Yeah, and we're all different, but those marks on our hands, wow. You could go down a whole rabbit hole. And I'm sorry, Matthew, every time I zoom in, we lose my canvas starts to freeze up. So otherwise I would love to zoom in.
Yeah, but people can zoom in on their own. They have their computers or their phones. They can look.
I just every time I do that, it doesn't work anymore. So I just don't want to risk it. But so that's what I'm I don't think I can. But it is so connected to everything else. And the other book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages by Manly P. Hall, of course, that picture I showed, it's the whole world in his hands. And that's even a Christian Bible study song. And it makes sense, right? Because the whole world is in your hand. It shows your past, your future, your present, and then even what's going on within your body and stuff. It's so it makes sense, all this stuff. I remember all those songs, and so you shouldn't discard them, because now they start to make sense even more and more and more with the fusion of and really that's what a lot of the Rosicrucians that we've been talking about were trying to do, was emerge the Christianity, the teachings of Christ, but with the wisdom of all the occult knowledge, and really they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand, no pun intended.
Hand in hand. And this is actually way far beyond Kabbalistic stuff. This is stuff that has been going on for freaking ever. Ancient shamans, way before Kabbalistic stuff even started. So, we're talking about ancient Babylon and whatnot. And then it was, passed down and changed and turned into Kabbalistic teachings and practices. But that's just one aspect of it. So, it all points to the same thing when you really look at it. It just was converted into something so that other people can see it in a different way. So going back to the yang symbol, I want to talk about, and the yin. Ooh, that was a big one. There is this where the yang is movement and yin is rest. And so what you're looking at in this position is the resting position of yin. And which is this complex of being female intuitive mind, and yang is the clear rational male intellect. So yin is quiet. It looks at what is happening within itself. It's not surface based. It's going into reflection and contemplating what the stillness is happening within yourself. This is what meditation does. And then the yang is like the actual action where becomes the strength and to actually move what you now just produced out of the stillness. Because when you have that stillness, you'll start to get visions, you'll start to see things. And then, the king comes along, like the sun in Leo, moving all of that, and putting its fire to that. So when you look at the verse, there's this divide, there's adding, multiplying, and then you have to understand all of that when you put it together. So you have this, there's a saying called, this is a charge to quell the faculty of discrimination between illusions. The seeming, the chief is he who has destroyed the sense of duality. So when you start to use this yin and yang, and not use them as dualistic, that's separation, right? You want to bring it together where it's this co-operation, co-equal, negative positive energy coming into where we now are becoming more interdependent instead of independent, which means, interdependent means that we need each other, but yet we're still dependent within that thought process or that movement of the yin and yang. And so, most of the concept of non-dualism, it's been going on for more than 5,000 years, this concept, or even longer, but it's unrecognized until just recently that, we are in this book of law, of God's law. And we really need to pay attention here. And we're being called to it, to say, look, we have been tirelessly repeating this dualistic modern religion bullshit for a while. And it's very conflictive. It's actually separating us even further. And so you can take this dualism and shove it up your butt, as far as I'm concerned. So we want to really go into this union and like start to manifest without that, these two great principles. There could be actually more offspring without this union of male and female. So what we're wanting to do is to remove that polarity and use it in our brains to see the other side. And so I want to go into the symbolism of that, but go ahead, please. If you're going to say something about it.
Yeah, I was also about to sneeze too, so I apologize. I was like, oh no. Like, especially when you're talking about like everything coming together with that duality. We just experienced the highlight, right? Some World Cup, right? Oh, that building up as that the astrology was building into that tightness. And right as it was all that beautiful
chalice.
World Cup. What's the World Cup? Duality. What's the World Cup?
That's
ball. Funny. And with the ball, okay, if you want to watch sports, play sports, by all means. At least like it's getting people together, but it trickles down. The humans watch the monkeys play with the ball. No offense to that. Like, just this is a metaphor. And then the elites own it and bet on it.
Yeah, I mean, during this chalice that's actually happening in the zodiac.
Just watching it, you're just a little, look at the ball, look at the ball, look at the ball. But there's a bigger game and a bigger game and a bigger game going on beyond that. So people are gambling on it, right? And then bigger corporations
Yeah.
are gambling on it, sponsoring it. But then the countries, they own these they own these teams. FIFA owns everything, and then it depends on who's with war, whatever. They decide who wins. Do you think that's what the game is? I look at the whole big game. That's why I'm like, I'm not gonna watch the game. I'm watching the whole game happen. It's a ritual. It's people gambling,
Yeah.
and it is rigged to the rim. So yeah, well, you can watch it, but to me personally, it's not that entertaining to me because I had a football boyfriend in high school, and the only reason I even watched him because he was hot. And like that's what I mean. It trickles down everything to the gladiators. The poorest people are the entertainment, and then everybody's a spectator, and then people bet on it, people own it. And
well, they're more than the entertainment.
And then it's all about control, and then
their
it's even
energy is
bigger than
being
that because
used.
it's a ritual. It is a ritual. You're in a circle or an arena, and you're a ritual. So it's a duality. It depends on. People are going to fight each other no matter what, right? That's the loosh. That's part of it too. The ritual happening.
Then they're going to enact like, going out to eat.
Distraction
It's not
as
just
well,
the ritual
you know?
inside. Yeah, it's distraction. It's a ritual with like eating, sex rituals of like raping children, raping women that are the Johns that go to these events, they kidnap children and women and put them into sex slavery. So like, this is way more than, it's all the food, the music, the entertainment, it's all that. And, all these humans that are watching these things and participating are actually a part of that. It's this whole ritual, and it comes down to that we don't even need any of that.
They know
So
the
it's really interesting.
They know the astrology, and they play to their
Yeah, they know the
advantage with it.
astrology.
And
That's why
instead of
they're
us
doing it
using
during
it
this
to
World
our
Cup. I mean,
advantage-
how convenient.
Yeah. So we're giving them our energy for their magic.
But
When we
why
can
would
use
they?
that energy for our
Why
magic.
would they know? Why would humans know?
It's all woo
Anyways,
woo.
let's
It's
skip
all
all that,
woo
because why would
woo.
they know? Why
It's
humans?
all woo woo. But this, like, we
I
need to
hear
start
that you're excited
taking-
about it, Mariah. But how would they know?
Take
How
our
would they
energy.
know? How do fucking humans know? They don't fucking know. They
They
don't
don't
know
know.
that they're even going to these things
But
in
they're
a ritual. They
giving their
except for
energy
the fact that
to
they do it
their
all the time.
ritual. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it.
But we
It's
can use
not
that
something
same
no.
energy for our own ritual.
Like
for our own rituals, for our own magic. Take it back.
it's
We need to take it back. Yeah,
So
no, we got really passionate.
I want
Anyway,
to go into the reason why I feel like these two, that the yin and yang is actually. This is what I was talking with Miriah. Like I think it was yesterday, where there, and I know that people have been saying this. There's two suns. Okay, the sun that we have is people feel like they're getting fried. People feel like it's more like an LED light. I don't know if it's true or not, but I was just, entertaining, right? The idea, and then looking into the demiurge and the Sophia uh, fall that was created. And then I found this image that you guys are seeing in the background. I think we're on the right slide. Yes. Where actually it looks like two suns. Does it not? Do you guys not see this? It's like two eyes. It's two suns. It's one is light and one is dark. And what does LED look like? It looks like neon. And what is fire? It's warm. It's inviting, right? But neon is like, it hurts your eyes. It changes who you are. And so we're talking about like all this stuff that Miriah was just mentioning. Well, LED is a part of the problem. So are we experiencing a different sun? Is that a possibility? Did the sun change itself? Or did it actually possibly, is that there's another one that's beyond the ice wall and it switched roles? I don't know. I'm not up in the air. I can't see. But there is like some, that is a theory out there that there's two suns out there. And then I looked into this guy named John Lamlash. and he goes into the Gnostic teachings, which is actually Gnostic just means know-it-all. I can't remember I think it's Telsey or something like that. The actual practice, the people that were, because Gnosticism is the slang term. It's kind of like saying Sioux Indians, right? Which Sioux is a slang. It's not the real actual term. Derogatory. So Apollo, if you look at Apollo, he's like one of the only gods that really never has had a different name. Okay. And he's the sun deity that he hated the satires and all of the snake-like, individuals that would celebrate and do what Miriah was just talking about, and with like rituals and sex and drugs and alcohol and partying and have a good time. He was not for it. Okay, this guy was like, fuck that shit. And he saw it as this telluric, like the wisdom of these telluric oracles that morphed into Christ. Okay, Christ wasn't even existing at this time, way back in the day. And so this Christ became the supreme Greco-Roman deity all of a sudden. Okay, why? Well, maybe because the sun changed, or maybe because they changed Apollo and made it into Christ, the sun changed because of that. Or maybe there's actually two suns. I was like, this is a very good possibility. This is why I have up on the upper left corner, that would be Apollo, and then you have Jesus Christ to the right hand corner. Because maybe the two suns are unfolding into like the spiritual life of the European peoples, because they were taught that the collective selective or of the psyche of the human species was going to be disastrous, and it's been disastrous. And Apollo, he defeats all of the gods, okay, all of them, in his glorification and in his intellect. And he was also a force that was independent of the body. Okay, so the intellect wasn't actually nature, because nature is intellectual. Artificial intelligence is not intellectual at all. Okay, it's not organic. You can't claim it. So Apollo, he reflects this human self. And there's a good one. So this there's this historian, her name is Jane Harrison. Yes, Jane Harrison. And she talks about Phoebus, which is in the sun calendar, with all of its attendant moralities of law, order, and symmetry and rhythm, with light and reason and the qualities under Greek civilization. But by the early Europeans, they took this as a close relation to deep worship and reverence towards nature, and how we were a part of the earth, Gaia. Okay, which is actually Sophia. She formed herself into Mother Gaia. That's who Sophia is in this ancient text. Okay, so it's been reversed, is it not? Like all the things that Miriah was just talking about, like with the World Cup, and now we have this basket happening in the zodiac during the World Cup. I mean, that's just not a coincidence. This is the literal chalice. This is Sophia being sacrificed. The whole idea of the demiurge, okay, which is, I just want to have a good time attitude, and not being
I have
having a good time. You're still not willing to let go of like all of these demiurge stupid like rituals. Go ahead.
No, oh my God. I love the images that you have here too. And there's definitely something with like the yin and the yang, right? Where there's a little bit of both in each other, but how they move. So especially if you've looked at any like flat earth, like diagrams and stuff, this is how they represent like the sun and the moon, or like the moon itself. But the sun and the moon don't work
Right.
like that. But two suns would.
No, they
And
don't.
so agreed.
Yes, they
Like
would.
there's definitely something with the sun where it is more LED. It's been spewing out plasma like you wouldn't believe, more, and almost like, okay, I'm from the north where I would see the northern lights, and to me it looks artificial itself, even that, because we shouldn't be. It's cool that we're seeing it around the world, and that means that there's more of it, but the plasma would go towards the poles, right? Especially at the north, and then it's a spiral. It's usually green and purple. The more
aurora
south it
borealis.
goes, it changes color because it's going down towards the chakras of the earth a little bit more, and that's starting to make sense. But a lot of it, it looks more of like an artificial, or
Well, they're actually sentient beings.
well,
they're real beings. They have consciousness.
but it's more pixeled of like a shape. It's not like spiral. It's not going around the earth as it should. So there's something making it like kind of pixelate and dispute around the earth a little bit more. But going back to my point of the two suns, so I've been an astronomy nerd for a long time. So with a binary system, one of them dominates the other, and one of them holds more of the plasma. One of them might have to hang out as like a dwarf, or sometimes they can work together. Like there's so many different relationships between a binary star system. They could get into a pulsate star. They could like fuse together. So many different equations. So, but as they move together, the closer they get, sometimes they get further apart. Further apart, survival. The closer they get, this is where the magic happens. You don't know what happens. Depends on one's bigger, one's smaller, and all the different equations. So,
well, once it gets closer, it's like the Earth like the multi dimensions that are happening. There are these gates where the Earth stops having like so many multiplications of multi dimensions, and then it starts to come towards the middle where the photon band is, and then it can stop, and we can go up or down, right?
Yes,
that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, because we talked about that how many times. Like we're at the event horizon where we go up or down, or like as we're moving around like the central galaxy. So I think our other sun is dark. Black hole sun, won't you come and take away like there's something to that message, because
they've been singing about it. They've been enacting it for a while.
It's also supposed to be internal.
I don't like saying they.
It's also supposed to be internal, whatever the fuck that means. But if they're doing this dance, and since CERN has shut off, some people have claimed that. Raise your hand if you've seen any chemtrails. Of course, we've seen a lot of like different storms, this kind of stuff. But raise your hand if you've seen chemtrails. But some people say the sun's been a little bit less white. But no, there was something up with that sun. It almost looked like you're like
more blue.
Or just white. Or just like LED. Even the plants would
there's two different types of white. There's a yellow white, and then there's a blue white. And natural flame has like a yellow orangey tone, but the blue flame is more or less the dark side. That it makes sense, because what is the color of water? It is the negative, right? It's dark. So it makes totally 100% makes sense, like how all of this would happen. And during this time, actually, when all this happened, this was this Greek intellectual shit that was actually 6th and 5th century BCE, where it became this cliche against the historians that the Greeks intellectual, they actually were prepared the way for this Christian theology. And so what we're experiencing right now is this dark sentient sun. Okay, because who is Christ? He is the sun. Okay, and so all this plasma that Miriah was just talking about, this is how it was paved along the way. The Romans took the Greek information and created this, and I know I'm going to piss off some Christians, but whatever. But this is how how it was triumphed like over this merger of Christ and Apollo, when Apollo was separate before. So that's why I believe that there's two suns, exactly what Miriah was talking about, and how Apollo was not a pleasure of God, okay? But that's what we're in right now. This is Pan, okay? It's the satires that he couldn't stand. He
And Paul
they're all
by the way,
fucking gay, and they're all having fucking orgies. And look at
cutting out a little bit, Nova.
pedophilia in the world.
There you go. Nova, I can't hear you. Maybe everybody else can. Nova, you're cutting out.
Looks like we lost.
Okay, we
Oh,
lost
you're
Nova
muted
for a
too.
second. So Matthew, and hopefully Nova will come back in. Yeah, everybody's getting storms anyway, and that's how it is. We've been getting so many storms that, thank God, everything would have been on fire. I have a feeling it might be too much. Just speaking of weather, we have an El Nino on our way this winter, and so last winter was quite the El Nino, and supposedly it's supposed to be a Godzilla. There's a reason that this all these terms exist. So a Godzilla means a hell of a El Nino, and if you know what an El Nino is, that means a winter storm cycle brought on by different streams, usually by the jet stream there, and sometimes it's a doozy, sometimes it's calm depending on the cycle, and supposedly it's supposed to be a Godzilla. So we're gonna see.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Woo! So I warned people 2025, 26, get a backpack ready for natural disasters. This year, hunker down for that winter that they talked about. It's going to be, and we never know. We never know. Godzilla, like this. This is it, yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, we could use it. That's for sure.
Well, it could also be damaging though too. This is when avalanche is gonna happen. This when it could be like too much. And normally a lot of times where most places are in drought where too much is not enough, but yeah, it could be too much. It could be too much. So just prepare for that, everybody. Get ready for
of the country too. It's like where we've got like and just absolute rain, and it kind of back with each other. So, you'll and then all of a sudden you just get this giant avalanche, which will be great for the mountains, but ready for it, then could cause some problems too.
But also too much, that could be people losing their mountain towns and lives and stuff. So just be prepared. A Godzilla might be on the way, this might be the start of. I'm so excited that we have a monsoon season because we need mushrooms, we need plants. Everything was like burning up. So, but just be prepared that this El Nino, that's why I'm sticking around the mountains. I'm not going to Hawaii. But at the same time, Just be prepared. But anyway, sorry, I was going on a tangent, but for real, like I see the patterns, and it goes from one extreme to the next, and yeah, just get your survival shit together. That's it. We know this. The listeners,
I
we
mean,
know this.
will be the ones that end up surviving because Earth is always consistently, and so when you're ready for the you could prepare for it. I mean, we see that in so many symbols and so many of the, I guess you can call it his story lessons of the world. It's like the tends over and over and over and over, and sometimes these symbols they come the actual events themselves too. You know, and we look at the wheel, we look at the circle, we look at duality in the sun. I mean, it that they come up over and over again because they're cyclical, and we see these things come through these cycles as well. So let's take heed to the path and observe what could be happening again in the future, and stock up aids before Monsanto comes to get you, or the World Cup comes to sacrifice.
Well, and it could be fire, it could be drought, or it could be the opposite. So it's a lot of extremes, right? We never get like a good balance, and such is life, as say Levy. And so what's interesting about the World Cup is you bring it in, like, right, and we'll get into this too more and more. The World Cup, they know exactly what they're doing when they have these events on certain dates of alignment. We just showed you that basket. Why would they have the World Cup? And they're playing with the ball. And like I said, yeah, it's like, no offense to sports. I am a soul rider, snowboarder, where it's a ball, and then like the game is so much bigger than them playing with that football. And so that's very important. And so this yin yang too, like as a magnet, though, this is our existence. We exist in a sphere, in a circle, because we need to have a container. And the two suns, and even like the two spots in the yin yang, that represents even like the magnets that go around to make our existence, our earth, happen, even with like in an atom, right? If they didn't have the protons, neutrons, but if they didn't have any electrons on the outside of it, there wouldn't be that pull for their movement, for it even to be for there to be energy within it. So it's super important. So like, where everyone's always looking for this other sun, and it might be not where you think it is, the outer one could have been replaced with really like our inner solar plexus, right? The soul of our own planet. As within, so without; as above, so without. So when I ask for guidance upon these like different directions, right? That inner sun, the black hole sun, won't you come? Even the one dimension is that black ironness. So it's really interesting, like, because we're always on the hunt for this thing. Right. Where is it? Yeah. Is it far away in the
it's all around us. I mean,
in the Kuiper belt? Is it Mars? Is it Saturn? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not even. Yeah, maybe it's more within. It could be that black hole sun where we don't know where it is. It could actually be a black hole, right? So this is my other theory because it's pretty important. And I think about it a lot, and I think other people do. So if we have a sister sun, we also have a sister galaxy then. And Andromeda has been offered as our sister galaxy as we're moving towards each other. Oh, somebody's trying to call me, but honey bunny. Just probably trying to listen. Shout out to Crazy Stacy. Okay, so Andromeda and the Milky Way, sister galaxies, and they're moving towards each other, right?
There's no like it makes sense inner rather than outer, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So
At least, you know, if we're thinking about like it's like, where would it be, you know?
right.
I'd imagine.
Already though, I'm okay. I'm gonna jump back to what I was just talking about with the Andromeda and Milky Way, sister galaxies, that they're moving toward each other, right? That could be if we're constantly going in a black hole and into, or like, okay, think about that. So if the spark of the Big Bang is like, maybe we just made it through a black hole and then started evolving into a new universe, a new galaxy, and constantly more and more galaxies on this stuff, all the stars with combustion, and we've studied that with astronomy. But what if we expand so much and all we're doing is like kind of like making it to like this other, some say white hole, black hole, depends on if you're going out or going within. And so this yin and yang, maybe if we're constantly like working towards going back to and always talking about that singularity, going back towards that oneness, only to expand all the way more to the 9D. Right. And so it's hard to explain where it all begins and where it ends. But
You know,
I
with
go ahead,
that
yeah.
because I think the shape of the universe isn't necessarily like here, but more of like a toroid or something like that. Could be folding back inward on itself, expanding from our perspective, but shrink their perspective, like going through the wormhole into itself. And then we would have a loop, and it would work both ways. It's expanding infinitely, but also creating. So it's the energy, the dragon eating, Borealis eating its own tail again. I could see that being the case. You even see it in the yin yang here a little bit.
Oh, totally. And again, that's the fishes, right? But that's the yin and the yang. So we almost need this. We exist within a container. Without that yin yang swimming, it wouldn't exist. It'd fall apart. It's the magnetism of it working by, that's what how magnets work. When you have two magnets opposite, they'll make that movement. They'll make that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this container. We wouldn't have the movement. This is the most simplistic diagram of what we are. Too, I think that's beautiful. Oh, maybe we'll never get
It all
Nova
makes
back.
a hole at the end.
Well, and with the like Jesus right there with like his two fish, right? He's obviously a battery right there. A little bit, right? He's got his two fishes. He's electrified. He's actually creating his own aura, and that's kind of what it represents. He's sitting on his own throne because he's the kingdom of his own mind. He's the king, right? You sitting on the throne of your own kingdom. It's right up here. Yeah, it's right up here. That's why his aura is shining bright.
And he's got his own cosmos in the back.
Yeah, that's his own aura.
The universe.
He's got his fish, right? He's got his fish. He's got both the yin and the yang. And really, that's kind of what the chariot is, even though this chariot representation has the 4 horses. There might be, but really, it should only be 2. And here it's fish. Sometimes it's dragons. Sometimes.
Hey guys, I'm back. The thunderstorm is crazy.
Oh my god! All the storms are like insane. So it's like drought or flood. Cool. I'm glad you're getting rain though. We are still on your side. We talked a lot about it though. So welcome back.
Yeah, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. Hold on for a second. I'm putting my headphones back on. Okay. So, anyways, I was like, oh,
yeah, thanks
it up if I don't
for
get
bringing
back in, but it's actually I was able to get back in. it actually, when I went outside, it smelled like fire. I was like, oh shit, did it strike something and catch something on fire? Thank God it's raining. Hopefully whatever it is, because it's dry as a fucking bone out here. But I was actually outside watering around the house today, so just to make sure that the house doesn't burn down. Anyways, so yeah, thanks for holding the space while I was out and about. I will go for a little bit longer because I do have like a couple things that I do want to point out on the next slide, if you guys are cool with that. Because I heard that you guys are talking about the Christ consciousness and this the dualism of the fish, which I was glad you brought that up, because the Sophia is that oval shape. She is that Vesica Pisces. That is the womb that created this solar entity, deity of Christ, which is the demiurge. And so I was talking about how Sophia and how she is this mythological name of Gaia, and she became the earth. I did not know that. I didn't know if you guys knew that, but I was like, oh, okay, well that makes sense. Mia, because she came down here, was like, I'm going to make it the earth, and then all these archons were created, and now hopefully I'm still there, but because
Well, you were there, Nova, if you can hear me.
Yeah, we can still hear you, or well, we could.
You have a delay, Matthew, I think.
Mike.
Awesome.
Oh, sorry,
Mic
that
drop.
was my headphones.
And back.
It's my fucking mic drive
I
drop.
do have
Damn
delay,
it.
yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Everybody
And
invest
I'm back.
in your future, in technology tomorrow, okay? Okay?
I need to get help with my mic. Yes, because I don't know what's going on, because I couldn't hear you guys when I plugged it in. But I got it to work. It just wasn't. I couldn't hear you guys, so now I have to go into another setting. Anyways, so yeah, so we all know that Gaia, she's is this recognition of this planet, and its life is intelligence. The transhumanism shit and the alien intelligence is not. Okay, it's not intelligence. We need to rename it, not call it artificial intelligence, because it's not intelligence at all. It's fake. It's literally just synthetic. Okay, so let's call it aliens, synthetic, whatever. I don't know. We'll come up with a name later. But this is like she's considered a sentient superorganism. Okay, superorganism, like an orgasm. Yeah, that's what the birth of the universe is. It's basically one big orgasm. And so the need of humans in to have this general system and theory of like cybernetics and all these structures of like dissipation and formulas of like self-organization, to understand Gaia is really silly, if you ask me, because do these actually conceptualize the schemes that are merely just posing male mind distractions from in the masculine, right? This demiurge that is masculine, it's not feminine. From this empathetic contact with the living planet, okay? And I'm not the one that even says this. This is something that John Lamb Malash was actually saying about males, okay? So don't be mad at me. I'm just the messenger. Okay, you can be mad at John for saying, this is pose male mind distraction. Okay, and so he goes over like these 9 different episodes of like the Godhead, because the Godhead, it comes from the galactic core, which is basically like a jelly substance of plasma, and it smells like brandy, supposedly, because of all the chemicals and stuff that happen within it. They actually were able to measure it. And it's like this flower essence, which I was like, that's cool. So this Godhead is the original source, which is from the galactic core, which is the 27th degree of Sagittarius. And there's these 9 realms that I'm going to cover briefly. You guys interrupt me at any point, to discuss or whatever if you have questions about it, because it's really fascinating. I'm going to send you guys this video that he talks about it, but I actually have the book too. So anyways, and then this is, again, we're going back to the Telsi or something. I think they're the Telsi, or I can't remember, but they're called Gnostics in the derogatory. All right, so this is based on the realm of the pleroma, which is this divine fullness, where it's astronomically, large, it's vast, and it's this galactic center that has the potential to, create any kind of, imagination or dream that it wants. Yes. So it merges within the universe, or it merges into the universe is what I'm trying to say. So, and this is called the anthropos. Okay, and we are the anthropos. That's what humans are. Okay. So the second one is the division, the divinities. Okay, the aeons, and the company amongst that is the pleremic gods, which is Christos or Sophia. Okay, and this is where the singular projection comes into this realm of this galactic, where the planetary systems start to emerge with the anthropos. And this is what we were talking about with the palmistry, right? With the dualism, looking at your hands, you have both left and right, just kind of look at your hands and you see that duality. This is where it starts to, the singular projection starts to go into the galactic arms of itself and emerges. So the third aspect is where this encoded singularity from the pleroma into this realm, which we are creating, right? Which is this outer chaos, because whatever's inside of us, yes, we create that outer chaos. So everything on this planet, on Gaia, is happening because of us and the archons, which are the planets, which I'll get into that a little bit. I've talked about it a million times. But this is how it starts to unfold and creates into these worlds that, in these multiple dimensions that all of us are experiencing as a consciousness. And it comes from Orion's Nebula. That's what I have on, I don't know if this is what Orion's Nebula actually is, but I found this cool,
I do.
galactic fun
It's
video
M42.
to show you, because I actually have seen
M42. M42. Orion's Nebula. It's the base of his dick that got exploded.
Yes, M42.
Right? Yep,
yes,
M42.
it is.
So it's
and I actually saw it.
It looks like the yin and yang.
Back before I moved.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is M42.
Well, it looks
and
like
I actually saw it. I saw it in Santa Fe. It spiraled out, and I saw it through, and it threw a couple orbs over the Sendero de Cristos. I think I've told you guys about that. It was fucking crazy. I was like, whoa. And I didn't know what it was at the time. I had no idea. I just saw that it came from Orion, and it was this red glowing. If you look up at Orion, you see that red glow. That is the Orion's M42 nebula. And so that it stems from all that. And this is with that spider. It's like think about dew on a spider web. All those little trickles. Do you guys remember those oil things with the naked lady, and all the oil would drip down? I loved those things. It was like a statue. It was like back in the 70s.
Like the Virgin Mary with the
people had them
down?
as decoration.
Oh, yeah.
What was this then?
Dew on a spider web. That's what I'm talking about.
Ooh, okay.
And then the fourth one is, sorry, there's a little bit of a lag. You guys are, I apologize if I'm interrupting.
Everyone's lagging a little bit.
You guys are behind me for some reason.
We're all doing the same.
Okay. Okay. So I'm going to go over 4 more of them. real quick, and then we can talk about it. And then, so the fourth one is the Anne Sophia. She has this obsession with the Anthropos, which is us, and how that we can create our own worlds by our own imagination, and how she starts to absorb her own self in the dream world. And she just lets us, do and be in this cosmic process of emission. Okay, so she goes out alone too. There's no other Aeon assisting her, because there's different Aeons. She's like the youngest one out of all of them. And these different variations of the cosmic law and polarity, that's why we're seeing all this harmony and balance, like just kind of like all over the place, because she's like thinking that humans or the Anthropos is going to actually figure itself out, and it keeps on failing, and she's like, why is this failing? But she still loves us and wants us to be able to, like, to grow and to learn. So she's allowing this obsession of like possibilities of like human failure or this advancement. And so she drifts from like the Palerma, which comes from the galactic core, which is the original state, and departs from the cosmic center. And then she tumbles into like this dark realm of external, like, swirling DNA. Think about, all of our DNA and the nebulas and how they move and they swirl outside of this galactic core. Okay. So number 5, Sophia, she starts to remove the self from the Godhead and has created unforeseen impacts. And that's why the zodiac, we're always just like, we don't really know. We can kind of have an idea. And there are some predictions that people are actually able to do. And the Torah actually has predictions in there mathematically. But you have to be able to know how to read all that. So these are impacts for millions of years. We're talking about like a realm of chaos, where the spawning of like inorganic beings, such as the archons, and so she has this confused fascination with the Anthropos, which is us, and then that we could actually, or how we might be able to evolve, from the goddess of her creation. But these archons came in anyhow, and unanticipated became really fucking weird, which is witchcraft, right? Where we are now seeing where it's not the original Palerma, which is like the true self. And so we're stuck in this anomaly of like deviancy, where it's been like this, whether we evolve as a human or consciousness, or we destroy ourselves. And this is why it's happened over and over again. And this is why Mother Gaia floods us out, fires us out, because it's our energy. It's our energy that's creating it. And she is just there to like, well, it's your choice. You get to have the choice. It's your choice. It's just depending on what choice you do within your imprint, right? Which we were talking about earlier. So the archons, they gather around and they're like, woohoo, let's have a party. Yay, we're going to have fun, you guys. I'm going to create all this fucked up shit, and I'm going to pull it into your bodies, and you're going to enact it, and it's going to be karma. Yeah, this is the demiurge, created these archons, which are the planets. And so this is what we're looking at, is like the demented, putrefied god that has proceeded to construct like the celestial, terrestrial, and aquatic form of atomic matter. Okay, so it's not Palerma at all whatsoever. This is demiurge 100% based, and that's what I believe. Because to me, I'm like, yeah, the Palerma sounds like a good place. Like it's not all this fun and ritual and fucking crazy self-sacrifice shit that we've been going through for several lifetimes. And so this is like a planetary trap, the hologram that is exclusive of Earth, Sun, and the Moon. Okay, those are what are projecting all of this and reflecting all of this from Orion's Nebula, M42. And then number 6 out of this as well is the planetary system. It becomes like, here all of a sudden here's this new star. It's born. Woo! We got the solar sun, the solar logos, and it comes from this nebula where the Anthropos is like embedded, and now it's owing to the superior mass where the star starts to become one with this planetary system, and it starts to be in coherence with it. It molds itself, and and so that's why I was thinking, well, is there possibly 2 suns, or that were, because it fluctuates through that sin wave, right, where it's like up here and then it's down here, it's up here and then it's down here, as far as negative and positive, and like floods and light and golden age, and then all of a sudden it's the iron age. So maybe perhaps that the central sun in the inversion of the archonic heaven, there's this realm of celestial mechanics that are dominated by blindness and inorganic forces, which is this LED sun possibly that we're experiencing, the black hole sun, right? So this is where Sophia, she casts her universe into the consciousness, and she starts to shame the demiurge. She's like, you motherfucker, you're out there like messing things up. You're making the Anthropos like really kill itself, literally, and maim itself instead of allowing it to grow. And so she starts to like look at it as like the surpassing, that the archons in this intelligence, like humanity is now like these vapors of like this pure form of this pleroma, but the archons are this pestilence and disease that are putrefying, like a putrefied carcass that is literally just outside of the cosmic galactic core, and is creating all this false light and karma that is completely unfucking necessary, because this demiurge, male dominated, and it's male dominated masculine, it's not feminine, okay? And I'm not saying that the males are responsible, it's all of us are responsible, okay? So this is this sheer arrogance of like the demiurge, that it thinks it's bigger and better, and it wants to keep on like being the one, right? It's the I'm a god, you're not the god, how dare you, mother. It's this mother complex, that dark mother complex that it hasn't forgiven, that because it's converted, and then
it's ironic too, because for all these years people gods and stuff are like above us, but it's like their egos are even bigger than ours. Karma is that they have to humble themselves, get past the realm that they're in. They're in a torture realm too. It's funny how they seem all golden and from this end, and we worship them and such, but they're just as humans on Earth.
Yeah, 100%. And that's all we're doing, is we're creating the archetypes of these archons. The human consciousness is creating this.
Yeah.
The whole demiurge. It has
and
to
that's
be.
like trigonometry.
There's no other way for it to be.
It's trigonometry. It's math, because we have, right, sine, cos, tan. And so that's we're creating it by we're creating angles within that circle in geometry, and that's okay, because like that we are creating a reality within that circle, right? Because with the angles we're bouncing off that circle, but what we want to do is kind of hold the triangle, so we can hold a container within a container where we can create true magic. Otherwise, we're just bouncing off.
I wish we were
the circle.
I wish we could continue, because the cross is the problem. The cross is the problem. The triangle is the solution. What you just said.
Yeah. So the geometry, trigonometry, like people are like, we're never going to use that, but that's our reality. And I knew that as a young age because I loved math and I actually kind of got it. And if you were a child in the 80s and 90s and those Apple computers, they would always have the screensaver on, right? It might have been, and if you know Pong too, like they had these triangles constantly like going around this square
Oh yeah.
container. And as I'm in my math classes, I thought it was weird because I'm like, here we're learning about trigonometry and geometry within a circle at my teacher. And when I got bored, I would look at the screensaver way too long. And these triangles were bouncing off of a square, and it made a totally different situation. So it was very hypnotizing and memorizing. Does that make sense though? Because in geometry, we are squaring a circle.
It has like the loops and everything.
Then we're working with the triangles. And then here's a computer screen trying to do the same thing, but now it's like a rectangle trying to do the same thing, and it's all wackadoo. and, and so really, like, all this math matters, but
those things are the best.
How you're okay, all these angles do it matters what container you're putting them in. So if it's a circle, the triangles are going to be different. You got to square the circle in order for the triangles to even almost matter if you're working from a 90-degree situation. But if it's a square or rectangle and a rhombus or a triangle, these angles are going to work differently, and this energy is going to work differently, and that's the whole point of what we're saying.
Mm-hmm. No, it's
Anyway,
true.
yeah.
You know, and it's going to be like a like how do we become, you know, within all of that, you know, within our terrestrial, you know, because we're obviously not from here, you know, and we are creating this because of ego. So like, you know, if you look at, you know, the square, I mean, that's a total square. I mean, what do you call it? You're so square, you know. It's because it's hard. It's not rounded. It's not soft. It's not. It's dominating. It's a statement. It's like, here I am. I'm going to control, you know, each corner of the room. Why do we think we all live in these fucking boxes?
A box you in, box you out.
Yeah.
All day.
Instead of like being in nature and like, you know, bending with nature and you know, like living in yurts or whatever. Even though yurts kind of drive me nuts, you know, you can go in circles. Like my girlfriend's place, like I just go in circles. I was like trying to find shit.
However,
she had it so
do it
disorganized.
right. If you do it right, you have the structure in the middle, and then you have angles going off of it, like the hippies down the hill from my yurt, Nova. They did it right. I was like, oh, because they had different sections of the yurt, almost being like little sections of a pie, with the center like going off the angle. So there's if you just have it like a big round, you're like kind of.
I think she just had too much shit. And it was you can't, like, trying to find furniture to hug a wall is like almost impossible, like a round wall. She actually had one, but it was old, and she should have had it redone. Like I would have totally redone it, but it was like one of those old ones where they had like box springs inside the cushion, or there was no cushions. It's like from the 50s, or I don't know, maybe before even the 50s. It's like super hard and not comfortable. I don't know if you ever saw it, Matthew. If it was over there when you can't, I don't know if it was. She might have gotten rid of it by then. But yeah, real quick, I want to finish this real quick, you guys, and then I'll be done. Remember. Yeah, it was really uncomfortable, but cool, because it fit the yurt. Anyway, so I want to go into real quick at how, how she actually. So Sophia, she's this fallen. I don't even like calling her a goddess because she's not really a goddess. She's more of an ancestor, if you ask me. She's an aeon. Okay, she's not a goddess. Fuck that. Goddesses are the planets. Okay, they're the ones that are fucked up, you know, and have ego complexes because, humans have been hurt, and they created these archetypes. So she's a fallen aeon, and she sees herself where, and she actually has a daughter, and her name is Zoe, and which is interesting because I don't know if you guys watched Caprica, but that was like after Battlestar Galactica, and Zoe, she ends up like creating an avatar of herself, and the original Zoe ends up dying, and so this avatar is now present, and this is like pre Cylons, right? She's actually the one who created where consciousness can be put onto a chip and put into something artificial. Okay, so Zoe, she's like this life force where she's like this essence of evil, is to kill the imagination, which is actually happening right now, and it has been for a while. What we've, which I've been talking about, like with trying to find someone, a man to like stand up, and like actually go on a great date, which like there's no imagination nowadays. It's like the same crap every day, every time. And I'm like saying no to all of it, saying I'm waiting for that person that actually has imagination. And she's actually this flame born daughter. She's flame, of Sophia. And what happens is that Sophia and her daughter, they unite with the sun, and then this mother star of the planetary becomes like this mother star of the planetary system. And so that's all a part of the sixth aspect of the nine. But so the seventh one is where Sophia, she starts to morph into more of a terrestrial formation, and she becomes this planet. She becomes Gaia, that we're living and breathing, and we are a part of her, okay, because we're earthlings. And so this is where it's organic, okay? This is not this inorganic that is this demiurge, which has been creating all this fucked up crap. And so this is that's been captured by the system of the demiurge. And so the realm, this is that realm of celestial mechanics. When you think about the word mechanic, it usually means what? It's not a life form. It's something that's mechanical, that humans made to move around because they have lost their pleroma, their imagination, to actually go from point A to point B without a fucking vehicle, which their body is the original vehicle, and they should be able to go from point A to point B in their avatar. And this is even something that Caprica talks about, and the Battlestar Galactica shows go into this. Okay. Let's see. Sorry, I had to get some water here. Okay, and then the eighth aspect of it is where Sophia, she starts to get all these emotions of grief, and she starts to be confused. And I mean, do you blame her? She's got all this fear because she can't figure out why the Anthropos is like fucking up so hardcore, and she's just like, look, man, I got to go back to the drawing board. I got to figure this out, because these physical elements of the Earth and the biosphere, it's not really working. The terrestrial globe is actually starting to, where life is arising, where it's like in these like disproportionate, forms. And then Sophia, she's unable to like actually manage at all the progeny that we are, because why? She was like, you guys just go for it and figure it out. And she didn't really give us any guidance. Well, she did, but then the demiurge came in and was like, nah, we're going to take all this information from you. And that's what the Roman Catholics, and all these other, the Phoenician cult, basically. We'll just call them the Phoenician cult because they're many, many mafias put into one. And so the gods in the pleroma, or I want to call them ancestors, not gods. they actually know, they're just like they're like, shit, this chick's having a hard time over here, um, on this collective, conscious level, and then they start to send Aeon Christos to intercede and bring order to the biological diversity of Sophia's world. Okay, so you're looking at, like, again, these two suns. Which one is the true one? Because it's Sophia and Christos. So you're looking at, like, where upon making, the Christos leaves kind of like this radiant after image or a biosphere that starts to come from, like, the receding of the earth, and it starts to return to the pleroma. In a way, Jesus is not Christos. Okay, we got to remember that, because I was talking about Jesus earlier, and I apologize if I called it Christ, because it's not the same. Christos, because it's actually not Christ. It's spelt with a. Is it with an E? I think it is. CHERSTOS, if I remember. It's not Christ. Okay, it's a little different. And so the ninth aspect of this is where we now are identifying this whole entire process of, organic life that we are imagining and creating and turning into this matter, where the planet, Sophia herself, is now becoming into this state of, like, oh shit, I need to be aware, I need to wake up, I'm in this dream that I've been creating for a while now, and because I need to be needed. Remember, we've talked about this before, where she created us because she wanted to feel important or needed from us. And so this is where humanity starts to heal, and it can start to emerge out of, like, this master template of the Anthropos, and then we can actually start to move about into the path, and to live, and to actually live in our body, in our vessels, with this experiment that we're in, and the unfolding of human novelty. Because if you look around you in the United States, it is a great experiment, and it has been demonizing this demiurge, or demonizing Sophia, and supporting the demiurge 100%. So I wanted to go into that, of what the yin and yang symbol represents, and it is a part of Gaia, and it is Sophia, and how the two are, like, opposing each other, and I think it has to do with these suns. And next week, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into more description of how these are developed into actual symbols of the Masons, and like Miriah was just talking about angles and mathematics. I'm going to go into the cross. We've already talked about the cross a little bit before, but this is going to go into a little bit more of, like, who and what is doing it, so you can look and go, oh shit, it's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. So just look around you. You'll start seeing crosses left and right. And usually you'll see a sun. If it's like a Christian one, the sun is crucified on the cross, like behind it or on it in some kind of way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We've been
like, even in this fucking, like, project.
Oh.
Yeah, the false, like, we've been worshiping the death of everything. So even with, like, John the Baptist, I've talked about, right, as opposed to Christ or the Antichrist. So this goes into John the evangelist versus John the Baptist.
Mm.
It goes into that, and you start to see that in
Eva,
politics.
Eve Angel. Do you hear
Evil
that? It has the
angel,
word Eve in it, and
evangelicalist, evil angel, fallen
well,
angel,
not just
evil
evil.
angel.
Not it's Eve. It's Eve. It's
Getting
Eve.
even. Yeah.
Eva, Engel.
Even, yeah. The opposite of it, right? So,
It's the opposite.
which is interesting because I always thought like John the Baptist was opposite of like kind of Christ. But it might go into these two opposites of two Johns, more specifically John the Baptist and John the Evangelicist. And it has to go with this, I think, opposing magnets and opposing bright sun, black hole sun. Why would they both be lit up?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe one took over right now for a little bit. They take over, and what they do is they transfer plasma, is my understanding, with astronomy, because it's all about the science and also the physiological and the psychological and the spirituality, right? People forget that we're more than just a 3D, and you know that. That's why you go to church looking for something beyond the 3D. It's there, so don't deny it. Only believe in science. Only believe what I can see. Then stop praying, stop believing, and stop having imagination. If you only believe in 3D,
you might as well just stop your whole entire life because you're worshiping everything.
Yeah, you are not you are so full of shit when you see
you're in denial.
Yet, that's what you worship. That's what you falsely believe in. And what belief is, it means you
everybody has a God.
I know shit.
Whether it be food or a song lyric or a best friend or a mother or a tree or your big toe. Everybody's worshiping has a God.
And you're all believing the other element. You all believe in the ether because you utilize it. You write stories, write poems, you dream, you sing.
Yeah.
Like, give me that bullshit. You are so delusional. So anyway,
but they don't know they're delusional. It's not their fault. And that's what we're here to do on Poppy Throat Project, is to bring it to you.
Sometimes they know. They're like, you know what, this seems more safe. So ignorance is bliss. But that's what happens to cows and pigs and sheep, right? They're like, oh, I guess we'll just deal with this and be a product to their demise, or to our demise. Oh wow. Anyway, great podcast.
Yeah, it's a little long. I know that this is very extensive, so I'm trying my best not to go, but I can't help it. There's just too much to cover. So, we are more of a workshop than a podcast. So, you decide, because there's a lot more about Gnosticism. You decide, start looking into writers like John Lamb Lash, or start reading the Ain Sophia books, or any other kind of Gnostic test, or anything that has to do with Enoch, or any of these ancient, Nag Hammadis and whatnot. You could start reading, and we're just lucky to have people that have come down and are actually able to interpret it so that we can actually understand a lot of it. Because once you start to have like these teachers like Michael Tazarian or whatever start helping show us, you can start reading the actual text and go, oh, now I see it, because that's what the symbolism is all about, and that's what we're covering. And I know that I went pretty much the whole entire thing. I did not know I was going to go on the yin and yang this long, but it is because I discovered that there's a possibility there's two suns, and it has to do with this Aeon Sophia and the demiurge. So I was like, oh shit, I got to share it. So anyways, I really appreciate everyone being here and being a part of the solution. If you have any questions, you can always contact us on Telegram. We are not going to open up the mics tonight, but tomorrow there is going to be Males Leading God's Law on Thursday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. So that means what? 12, 1, 2, 3. 3 o'clock. Is it 3 o'clock Eastern or 2? Anyways, check your times. Mark your calendars if you want to come in and like talk to men that are, that have decided to like kind of step into this role of helping, sovereignty. We're going to be talking about the Phoenician cults that are actually, purposefully, in this weird culture that we're in and are creating a part of this. It's the leading role of the demiurge, basically, of this masculine dominated, male dominated world that we're in right now that is proceeding to eat itself. And so what they're wanting to do is to help educate and teach everyone about how to, forgive yourself, not take any shit anymore, and start to move on and, make the decision to stop being an asshole to self, okay? And to love the self instead, love yourself instead of being a jerk to yourself. So we all appreciate you. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to Poppy's Field Project. I am Nova. I'm here with Matthew and Miriah. I know Matthew's been a little quiet. I don't know if he's sleepy or whatever, but we get together each Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. So check your clocks. Put us in your calendar if you'd like. We also are going to meet up like every other Thursday and every other Monday. So we'll have an open chat on Telegram this Thursday, and then next Monday we'll also have a chat like at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So, but that's every other Monday. So I know that it's a little confusing, but just how we're going to do it, because people wanted to do evenings and some of us wanted to do mornings because they've been asking for participation again in and being able to participate like we used to on Telegram when we first started way back in the day.
Well, and it's really hard to keep it going for many hours after talking for many hours. So I like that you're doing that. So pick it up. Because, like after we talk for a while, I'm like, oh, and it's so great to hear everybody else around the world to talk. But at that point, I'm almost spent. So yeah, let's keep this going. Thank you, Nova, for setting up those other times and stuff. I'm part of World War Debate. I know like it's been kind of going on, but I know Sam Tripoli, I think he's like trying to set it up nice so like they don't F it up. So stay tuned for that. I hope to get more of us like debating. This is like maybe the new territory where we're really taking our wisdom, our research, instead of just talking on podcasts. We're kind of like, oh yeah, what do we know? Because I know a lot of astrology, and sometimes like when people are talking like current politics, I'm like, who? And I still pay attention, but I don't know all of them. I pay, so stay tuned for World War Debate. And that's coming out because I want people to participate. It's kind of based on a little bit of voting, which is ironic because my first debate, I kind of like talked that voting was not the way to go, but if it's done right, it is right. So anyway, I just want to throw that out there, and thank you, AM Wake Up, for the support and always for treating us, because as we talk about all this other stuff, this stuff is important because we're talking about what's going on with the sky clock, and it matters. Like, we're not just telling you like, hey, look over here instead of look what's going on. We're trying to tell you, hey, look at what's going on in the sky. This is what all the clues from back in the day are leading to, so we
always
can
look to the stars.
So we can utilize all the information, see what the equation is, and adapt and act accordingly, right? To our best advantage. So that's why we do this.
I forgot to point out that I was just looking at the slide that I put up the solar disk of the Mayan calendar.
Yes.
And
it's important.
And I was thinking, does this have to do something with the double sun?
Well, kind of does.
And that
I think so. So the last time Jupiter was in alignment in Leo was in 2014. That was 12 years ago. And one thing with the Mayan calendar, it actually goes in a cycle of 13. And a lot of people think that 2012 we all died then. Well, it was the end of one cycle, right? And beginning of something new. So some people really think like we've already died. We're like in this total like illusion that we're still living, or we just like change timelines or something swooped us up. Who knows, right? But with their calendar, it's the long calendar, and it when it kind of added up to their and how they divide it is actually into 13, which is ironic because it ended in 2012.
Well, we can get into that next week because I know you want to talk about the 13th, and I thought that, you know, I wanted to pull that in here because I was like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this, and I want to bring that into next week's topic because I'm going to be going over the pyramid and the pyramid on the back of the dollar bill, and I'm going to go into the mathematics behind it and the consciousness and the baseline that we are here on Earth and what it's doing. On a large scale, and it's the number one occult symbol is that pyramid on the back of the dollar bill. So tune into next week. We will go into it a little bit more, and Miriah hopefully will bring in that 13th. I don't know if we'll be able to do it at the beginning or the end, or we'll figure out put it in there somewhere because I want to get back to the sun stuff because I think there's something to it, and I think that the pyramid has something to do with it. I think it has to do with the cap that was removed, the capstone.
Even the number 13,
So,
you know, how do you make
in the calendar. Well, and because we're on the legalese calendar, we're not on God's law calendar, which is this 13th moon cycle.
Well, and different cultures,
yeah. So
different cultures are at a different year, depending on what calendar they go by.
Right.
So we're just because we're at this particular date, the current rest of the world, it doesn't even operate that way. We're in such a delusion that everybody else does, right? And they're all so we don't even know what time it is, but because of the sky clock, we do. Astrologers know what time it is.
Yeah.
We know what time it is.
Exactly.
Yeah, sorry, I kept.
It's time to get your acts together and wake the fuck up out of the dream. Anyways, thank you so much, Miriah. I appreciate you. It looks like Matthew already took off. So we'll see you all next week. And I'm looking forward to sharing more symbolism with, it has to do with the Phoenician cult, Freemasonry, and also the United States, which is one of the major leading roles and experiments that has been done since Atlantis. So we'll get back to you next week. Thank you very much. Have a great week, rest of the week. Much love to everyone.
Happy Hump Day. Bye-bye.